Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us, and welcome to the final session in our series with DBS on India, why India is a place that everybody should be investing in. And today I'm joined by Anish Bansal, who's the head of MNCs within DBS in India. And we're going to just recap some of the reasons why India is such a good place to invest, but also go through some of the things that are of real concern to MNC treasurers, with three main topics. The first is FX, which is always an issue. Second is funding. And then finally, not so much a treasury issue, but something we all have to deal with, and that's administration and how things are being simplified. So would you like to start with FX? Because that's always been an issue in India, right?
Yes. Thanks for that. And I think that's a very pertinent topic, Damien. Increasingly, there is a lot of multinational investment which is coming to India. And from being a consumption market, India is now also a supply market. We have a lot of manufacturing initiatives under the Make in India scheme, which has been going on, which makes it very important for overseas multinational company treasurers to look at FX a little bit more closely. Happy to report that the country has made great strides in this region. Uh, the initiatives that have come along have helped offshore companies to now directly hedge onshore into India. So that is a welcome change. Often I hear multinational companies think about how best to repatriate the profits that they make. There again, a welcome change where now dividends can be hedged onshore by the companies outside of India. So all of this helps to manage the FX much better in the country now.
And that's tremendous news, because the hedging has always been possible, but complicated and expensive. What about actual processing of payments? Because there used to be a lot of paperwork around that.
Yes. So another, I think, area where a lot of work has happened. The focus of the regulator and of the corporates has been to strike a good balance between ease of operation as well as the compliance around it. What the regulations have now allowed is to simplify the so-called bureaucratic process and make it much more easier and simpler for the companies to then hedge in India. For example, we have a new initiative called the anticipated exposure, which is a change from the previous past performance exposure. So the limitation in the previous regime was that you could only hedge basis your past performance or your past volumes. But for growing companies, they sort of now are able to hedge on their anticipated future projections, which can be higher than the past performance of the company. So that is very helpful. Also, the country has adopted digitization in FX to a great deal, and several platforms are available to transact on a real-time basis and basically complete the whole transaction from wherever they are in the world.
So that's good news. The complaint we often hear is that, yes, you can do things, but it's very difficult. So that's all becoming much easier. And thank you. That leads us into the next question, which is funding. Obviously, there are many sources of funding, but one that MNCs like to use is cross-border intercompany loans. Could you take us through that? I believe it's possible, but in the past, it's always been, again, somewhat onerous.
True. So I think in terms of funding, that again is the next important chapter, because when you look at India and you have to set up a base in India, you obviously need funding, and not everything can be equity funded. I think two good developments. One, the overall the domestic lending market is now much more mature. The number of players have increased. The depth of the market has increased. We've moved to benchmark linked loans, which are much more aligned to the way interest rates move. So that is a good change. Secondly, the point that you made around parent funding. What the country has been able to do is open up and make the process simpler for overseas companies to give loans to their own subsidiaries, both for working capital as well as for capex investments. And the regulations have been simplified. They've been made very clear so that there is no ambiguity around it. And the whole process is just straight through as long as you meet the requirements.
And there is still a requirement for approval, I believe, but that is now much quicker to come through, right?
Approval is only needed if you do not meet all the requirements. Otherwise, it's more of a registration of the loan rather than any approval, which comes very fast.
Okay, so substantial move forward. And I believe there's also a bond market, although that's not necessarily something most corporates would use as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the bond market is now much more deeper than it used to be, and the number of participants accessing that market has increased. Several multinational companies have now launched their own short-term, long-term commercial papers or NCDs into the bond market, and that is increasingly becoming a source of capital for people as they look at India for their funding.
Okay, depending on the type of funding you need. That's also good news. Thank you. Last thing is, and not directly in Treasury, but it's all the admin involved in dealing with the bureaucracy. I believe big steps are being made there. And could you maybe talk to us about how Gift City can also help with that?
Yes. So Gift City is a recent setup wherein it is deemed as an offshore economic zone, while being within the territory of the country. The advantage for multinational corporates is when they're looking to fund capex into India, they can now use Gift City as a loan origination center where the whole lending can become withholding tax neutral. So you save on substantial amount of taxes when you use Gift City as a borrowing route. So yeah.
So, and then generally, I believe most of the interaction with the authorities is moving towards electronic. Is that correct?
Correct. So, this is all pervasive. So generally speaking, the use of digitization, technology, e-governance, that has really taken leaps and bounds. From a regime where you had to go to several departments and physically go and submit paperwork, to a single window approval process, which can be done electronically, to your account openings, which can now be completed digitally and electronically, and the whole setup process. So from that ease of doing business perspective, a lot of effort and good work has happened there.
Okay, well, thank you, Anish. I think everybody listening will find this is great news because India has always been a place where you can do business, but it used to be difficult. Would I be right in saying that apart from the growth, great steps have been made to make it much easier?
Yeah, you will be absolutely right about that. I think in general, the best is yet to come. The potential of the country has gotten unleashed. The country offers, as I said initially, it offers a market as well as a sourcing base now, and the demographics are in the favor with very, I think, strong financial markets, technology, digitization. All of it is strong enablers to doing business here. So yeah, look forward to that.
And not to mention a very large, very highly educated population. So, okay, that's really good news. Again, appreciate your time. Thank you very much, Anish.
Thank you. Pleasure, Damien.